maybe. Hey again, we're live again today on Talk for Dodge because we have two times. We have a special guest. Meg Beshey's here with us.
This one will be a lot more exciting than the last
A
one.
lot more. The last one was a good one. That was educational. This one's for fun.
Yeah.
And educational.
And educational.
Maybe.
It'll be entertaining, that's for sure.
Meg, tell us about yourself.
Oh, let's see. Well, you can see that I have blown in with a north wind, and because right before all this, we were watching the storms that were north and northeast of Fort Dodge, and so I do that on the side. That's one more thing that I have on my plate. I do storm spotting for the Weather Service, and we had some fun stuff going through north and east of here. Humboldt got a little pea-sized hail, and right around Vincent there was a little rotation going on, so I was keeping an eye on that, literally.
Oh.
So when I was in your doorway earlier, I was watching the storm. So
Has it moved on now? Or?
it has moved on, but it's still trying to do its thing. So I would say anybody that's around I-35 right now, I'd say, maybe go pit stop at a truck stop real quick for a little bit. So, there's when these little storms come in, they come in for a party now, and you want to make sure you know that who's in charge.
Yeah.
That's Mother Nature.
About 2 hours ago, I saw a lot of lightning.
Yes, and
That was
those
it.
cells were
Vicious.
very intense. Yeah, and that's where the hail was popping out of. And some of those strikes came really, really close. I saw two of them go at Lakeside, and because I'm around that area. But so you got to be careful of that. And there was golfers out there, so as I'm like literally leaving my house, I'm yelling at them out the window. I said, "Get off the course! Like now, you have metal things in your hands. Not good with lightning."
They're like living on the
And
edge.
they go, "The storm's over there," and I said, "Great, but lightning can travel a lot farther, so you might want to go inside, have a little drink." So,
It's like the
You'll be
movie
good.
Caddyshack
Yeah.
where the priest is
yeah,
golfing, best
pretty
game of his
much.
life.
Oh,
Gets
yeah.
to the end, puts his golf up, gets struck by lightning.
I fear for that drama. I'm going to see that someday at the golf course. But so I work part time at the party store here just down the block, and I work at the Blanden Art Museum. So I'm kind of like all over the place, and whatever I can help and assist with in the community, I try to do that. Last night I was out of bioscience helping with the Ignite Entrepreneur Expo, so that was a lot of fun to help with that. And then I was doing the pints and pottery thing, and we're just everywhere. So
All over.
Wow.
Well, I know her best from the Blanden because I'm on the Blanden board, so I go to every opening I can, and I try to take my granddaughter Henry with. So we were out there the other day for an artist opening, and Meg told Henry to try to paint her favorite picture. So if you can see this one up here, it's backwards, so it's hard. She did her best to paint it with colored pencils and a piece of paper, and it was so much fun watching her. There's
and the
400 people there, and there she is coloring.
You can't do that in the big city museums. You only get
No.
that special treatment at the Blanden.
Yep.
So
And the tall guy behind her is the
Yeah.
artist. What's his name?
Greg Edmondson from St. Louis, Missouri.
Came all the way from St. Louis to put his art up, and then got his picture with Henry. On the bottom,
Well, his
which
career
was
is
cool.
made now. His career is made.
That's right. Now he can be famous.
Yeah. So, but it's a lot of fun. There's so
That's
much
cute.
to do
She's
in
got
this
a
community,
complex,
and I think it's wonderful. And what an experience she's had. So now she knows that when she comes to the Blanda that she's going to get to do that, and it's cool and it's okay. And we all coddle her, and
This is her second time in 2 weeks being there and doing something like this, and Meg's been there both times to make it amazing. So if you need grandpa and grandchild time, or grandma, just
I
head over to the Blanden when it's open. It's really cool. It's really fun, and they always make a really special attempt to make it special.
and personal.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's great.
It is, and it's a little different every time. Because I don't usually go in there once 3 months. So every time I go in there, it's like things really change up every time I'm there.
So like in this gallery, this is our East Gallery. Those are kind of showcases of prominent kind of regional artists, and that changes out a month and a half to 3 months depending on schedule. And then the upstairs gallery, right now we have two artists from Judy Bales and Amanda Dessler, I think. Kessler is her name.
Okay.
And so they're from Fairfield, Iowa. So it's a little bit more Iowa type exhibit upstairs.
Mhm.
And then in our West Gallery is our permanent collection. And those are pieces we have all the time. And people always ask, well, how come you don't have everything up? Because like yesterday, we had someone say, well, how come your Beckman's not up? Well, we can't put up all the big daddy pieces all the time. They have to take a break and, take a nap for a while in the vault. And it's
Build
healthy, just
suspense.
like humans, they got to have a break. And so right now that exhibit is geared around grids architecture. There's a few pieces in there, though, that are not part of the permit collection. They're on loan from us, from artists, like the Dan Perry one from Waterloo. And then we also have one of Greg's pieces that initially was supposed to be in the East Gallery, but it didn't quite fit because we had the piano in there.
Okay.
So then just perchance they put it in the West Gallery, and it actually fits in better there with architecture. So he's letting us have that on display on loan, no cost to us, and that's pretty cool.
Is that the paper
Wow.
one?
Yeah,
That looks like
Yeah.
the Superman.
exactly. The quartz.
The
It's called
quartz.
quartz, but it actually ties in, and they don't realize that Eric has this little magic way of putting his little exhibits together. So that quartz piece actually ties in with a Feininger that's on the wall and our Linda Flaherty piece. And so anything that's in the show ties in with at least 2 or 3 other pieces.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Cool.
I'm glad I could guess that. I feel
I
important
know,
now.
I know.
I didn't know
I'm
that until
impressed.
just now.
Well, I strongly recommend anybody with families to go out there when you have those like family days, like you said, your granddaughter doing that.
And even if you don't, like we've had a lot of families coming in just during the regular work week, and they're just hanging out because it's free, and the kids can walk around, they can look at things, and they just know that they're going to get an experience that you really just can't get anywhere.
It was like 2 years ago. I have 4 kids, and we went downstairs, and kids were coloring and doing all
The
kinds of
3
stuff.
Saturday classes, we got one
Yeah.
coming up this Saturday.
Okay.
And so if you still want to get in on that, you need to register online. Please register online. Don't just show up, because
Yeah.
we need to prepare for everybody that's coming in. But it's just a nice, quiet, like hour and 15
Yeah, it
minutes
was so
of
fun. We still talk
just
about it.
creating and being together. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's fun. And Henry's getting accustomed to going to the museum now, so
She's
that's
a
cool too.
She's one of our regulars.
She'll call on a Saturday morning and, Papa, can I come over to your house today? And the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
And I go pick her up, and there's permanently a car seat in the car.
Way to go.
My
Way to
youngest
go.
is 22. We have a car seat in the car all the time.
It's just handy. It's
It
just
is handy.
So with the party store, are you seeing a lot of weddings this year?
Oh my gosh, the wedding calls. I mean, just in the few minutes I was just there trying to assist with something, I just bopped in and I was handling calls. We had people renting chairs. We had a tent rental to go out for one weekend, but we're going to be out of tents that weekend. So they're going to have to pick a different date, if they want a tent. So things like that are going out left and right.
So 2022 is the year for weddings.
I believe it is. I believe
That's
it
what
is.
I see on the news every day.
Yeah.
We're busy
Well,
everywhere.
it
yeah.
actually was quite busy last fall. So the people, I thought they could just have smaller size revised weddings and things, and then have a bigger party later. So we're starting to see some of that too. So
Some
the
of the parties.
receptions.
Are you seeing any receptions during the week?
Yes. Yeah. There
Because
are
I
some
said that's
parties.
like a big thing. Like Thursday night has
Yeah.
all of a sudden become a big thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's cheaper and they can get the venues cheaper and things like that. So sometimes there's surprise events going up, and all of a sudden, that's a big store.
Yeah.
And I have to walk around and try to help people figure out, okay, so you got this weird thing, but that's the place to find your things. And it's so nice that people can go in one store and find it all
Mhm.
and get it taken care of. And it's fun to just, these people walk in. The best part is on weekends when the dads come in with their phones and they're like looking at their phone, and they obviously have been given a list from the wife, right?
Yeah.
Or the
Been
grandma.
there.
And they said, they're just stunned. They walk in, they see how big this store is, and they're like,
Screw
can you
those.
help me? And I,
Please help.
and
Here's a
I'm just
list
like,
so I can blame you
Yeah.
when I come with the wrong
exactly. I
stuff.
said, just give me the phone. I said, give me the phone. You man the cart, and let's walk around. Let's take care of this for you. no
And what's
matter-
her contact so I can send her pictures to make sure
Yeah,
this is right?
Yeah. I always tell them, I said, take pictures, send it to whoever, and make sure you get the okay before you,
There you go.
But they have a really good store policy too, that, if you don't open a package, you can bring them back with a receipt for store credit. And that really comes in handy.
Oh,
Yeah.
especially on those, like, hey, you got the wrong color. It's the
Yep.
dark blue, not
Yep.
the light blue. Go.
And, we
Go
had a
flip it
lady
out.
come in and she returned some things that, she didn't need. and it was store credit. And then she just turned around and went and bought a whole bunch of stuff. And then, and she was really happy how low it was when she got done because she had that store credit already built up. So it works out good.
It does.
So,
Okay.
And then how'd you get into weather spotting?
that would be my dad's fault. And because when I was growing up in Vermillion, South Dakota, my dad was an astronomer. He taught astronomy at the university. And he would just be always watching things. And, astronomy, people think that's meteorology at the same time. It's not, but it is. You're still observing the sky, things like that. But he also taught me how to look for other things like, people say, animals act differently, the trees look different and stuff like that. But he really taught me to observe the clouds. And he's, I can tell you when it's going to hail like within 5 minutes because of the way the clouds are behaving. And then like this recent storm that went through, because it was looking a certain way, that's what got my attention. I mean, you were trying to talk to me at the door and I'm like, going, whatever, and I'm looking at the radar, but I'm also watching what was going on over the bank, over the roof of the bank, because I could literally see what that rotation was doing. And so I was like sending messages to the Westers. I said, you might want to keep an eye on this bad boy. It's going right near Vincent, and there was some rotation there. But I'm just thankful it didn't turn into the real thing. But, the thing is that he taught me how to look for those things. And so when I go storm spotting, sometimes it's just stay put in my house, which is always the safest thing. But then there's times that there's such a outbreak that they need people on the ground looking. And, I'm not dumb enough to go right near the funnel or the storm.
You're not going to drive your Chevy truck through it?
No. Although I have gotten caught in a few of them by surprise. There was one time in Vermillion I was helping and I was down by the river and, they say, tornadoes don't cross over rivers. Guess what? That's false. Okay? Because when I was heading back, I had one literally drop down behind my car and almost literally chased me as I'm coming back into town. And the deputy at the time was in the outskirts of town. And he says, I was watching this funnel literally like follow your car. And he says,
oh my gosh,
he says, I didn't know if I was going to have to pick you up out of a cornfield or out of the Missouri River or what, but it can be challenging and you got to be careful. And, sometimes you're out storm spotting and you're communicating. I'm doing all this, on my phone, I'm watching things. And then you've got those people that think they're tornado chasers. And they have these weird things on top of their car, and they think they're all techie and everything. It's really scary.
I was going to ask you if you have any of that gear. That
Alice,
you see
what they call
Twister.
Alice, the Alice in the back.
No, I don't have any of that.
You don't have an Alice in the back of your
I do
pickup?
not. But the fun part is, they pull up alongside of you, like you're in the midst of like literally watching a storm cell, like you're totally engaged watching it because it's going to do something. And they pull up alongside and they go, "So, have you seen anything?"
Right there.
It's like right there in front of your face. You've got all the toys on the top of your car. You should see it and stuff like that. And they go, "Are you sure it's going to do something?" And I'm like, "Oh, can you just like go away?" Because by the time it drops, somebody could get hurt.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I have those opportunities sometimes to meet those individuals, and that's really fun.
Oh, yeah.
So my grandpa was a farmer, always out on the farm.
Mhm.
And I remember when I would go camping, I would stop over at my grandpa's house when they moved into town, and I'd ask him if it was going to rain next weekend because he was 100% correct every time.
Mhm.
You just go outside and he could tell you what it's going to do for the next 5 days.
Usually,
Like, do you have that intuition or
well,
that?
usually like if it suddenly gets warm, like the other day
Oh,
when we
yeah.
had those tornado outbreaks. So I actually was out of town, but I was part of a group that was helping everybody watch those storms coming because we knew what was going to happen. And so literally I'm coming down 17 and all of a sudden I got very uncomfortable and I could feel the temperature because it was cold up before Dodge, but it got very, very warm all of a sudden.
It got warm here.
That was a bad
Yeah.
sign because that just
When it
means
goes from 50 to 70 in an hour.
yeah.
You're
And
like, yeah, this
that's
is
like in
bad.
the wintertime too, when we suddenly have these warm days and you just know within probably 24, 48 hours, we're going to have something hit. And it's, either going to be a good dump of wet snow or it's going to be, you just can tell if it's going to be a dry snow event or if it's going to be wet. I always tell people if you want to know if it's going to rain, look up at the clouds. And if they're the little cirrus type clouds, usually within 12 to 24 hours, you're going to see some kind of moisture. and things. So I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist.
So
but
when's
just
our
be
next
aware.
nice day? Because I'm ready to be outside.
I'm gonna say maybe Sunday.
Sunday. Okay.
Yeah. So they're not quite sure. That wetness that's coming here in the next few days, I think that it's just going to be, a ballpark. No one's going to get that right. It doesn't matter how good your technology is. And so you just got to keep an eye on it, because those can either turn into something or they can just be blasé and move on to the next party. So poor Illinois, they're just getting body slammed. Sorry.
Sorry.
Not sorry. And, North Dakota, you just don't want to be up there because they got too much snow.
I used to have a friend that used to make fun of me because you can smell when it rains.
Oh, yeah.
Like before it rains, like an
Yeah.
hour before.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's gonna rain because you can smell it. And I remember one of my friends was like, "You're an idiot. You can smell rain." It's like, yeah.
And like when you see green, which is my favorite color, but not when it comes to a storm, because that usually means we're going to have some intense hail. So when it really goes green, the clouds are starting to go green, get your car in the garage, protect something,
Go park under a bridge.
Yeah.
Wait it out.
No, actually, no. That's
I was going to ask you that. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to park under
No,
a bridge, right?
Don't go under underpasses. I see videos of people hiding under there. That really is just like the dumbest thing you can do. I know you think you're protecting your car and things like that, but it would be better for you to actually go in the ditch and cover yourself up with, a blanket or whatever, a coat or something like that. I know you don't want to be in the ditch, but it's better than getting sucked up and being put in the next county. Because what happens, those winds come by and it acts like a vacuum, and it literally could vacuum your car out and you'd be in it. And you're probably going to hit the concrete and underpass.
Feel that when you're going through the underpasses, when you're just driving
yeah.
normally
Mm-hmm.
and there's a wind, you'd be like, well,
like
it's
that
the car
area
gets
north
hit.
of Story City on I-35 and down by Huxley, in the wintertime, we all know those are like bad spots, because they get icy from the wind and things like that. So even in the summertime, it just has that capability.
Yep.
So it's interesting. So everything's a party.
Everything's a party.
Everything's a party.
I'd like to job shadow you someday.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's go right along.
Well, everybody says that, can we do a ride along with you sometime? I said, sure. But, I'll jump in my car, and everybody in my neighborhood, if they see my car suddenly going down the lane, they know something's coming on. Or if I'm suddenly putting my car in the garage, they know that it's going to,
Wouldn't that fun to do on a Tuesday night? Todd and I get in the back seat with a 6-pack and just follow you around. We
follow you
video the
around.
whole thing.
6-pack of soda.
Yes.
Pop, that
yeah,
is.
Mountain
they
Dew.
meant soda.
Mountain Dew.
No, Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, we don't let that Mountain Dew in my car.
Well, at least
You know
have
that's,
Dr.
you know
Pepper.
that's,
so
you
I
know
don't
that's
upset
against the law
anybody.
in my life, right? In my circle, that you can't have Mountain Dew in my car
That's
or in
good.
my house. Okay, so
I had my first Mountain Dew in about 2 months. I used to drink one every day.
oh my gosh,
And I took one drink out of it, and it tasted like this thick
Oh, yeah. I
syrup.
can't drink
And I actually just let it sit there for the rest of the day, and I threw it away.
oh my gosh.
So I probably won't have the Mountain Dew again.
Get a Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, Dr. Pepper would be much better. So yeah, you'll have to come see my Dr. Pepper collection in my house sometime. So,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Meg. We
Yeah.
appreciate you being here.
you.
And
Thank you.
now I'm going to lean way forward to shut this
Very
off. So
interesting.
have a great day, everybody.
Bye.